Billy Blakeman, the integrity of all-weather racing, is it going down the pan because of what's coming out in the news, or what's your view on it at the moment?
It's become kind of fashionable to say, there's a problem with all-weather racing as opposed to poor quality racing, and the all-weather probably gets an unfair bad press. I mean, if you look at Class 6, 7 handicaps that you mentioned, the horses by nature are poor horses. They're inconsistent. They have medical problems, like Stephen was saying. They have joint problems, and the horses don't. Well, if you're going to plan a real proper old-fashioned coup, the last place you do it is the all-weather.
OK, but I pose this question to you. There's no chance that a trainer, or an owner, probably more appropriately, can make his money back by winning a Class 6, whatever it is, £1,800. What does that pay for his feed for a month? I don't know. There's no way he can make his money back or even profit from this. So the way that this develops into some kind of melting pot for crooked bets, doesn't it, really?
No, but are you saying that if they trebled, quadrupled the prize money, say every race in the all-weather was worth £10,000, everything would be straight, nothing would be, no plots, no schemes, no coups, of course not.
Well, you
have less racing, you don't have more. You do increase the prize money, but you have less racing.
But if you have less
racing,
saturated. But that would mean less money for the industry because it depends on turnover in the betting shops. And if there's not a race for the all-weather on, they can go on to the fobs, they can go on to virtual racing that we get nothing out of. So that is always the argument for keeping more racing on. You get more money returned at the end of the industry.
And all-weather racing is well subscribed. You get a decent. You tend to get decent fields in all-weather racing. Especially the handicaps.
Well, can I just make a point? I'm going to get my glasses out for this one.
Go ahead.
Because this is
important. When he gets his glasses
absolutely.
out, we know we're in trouble.
Absolutely. This is the Standard. You talk about big field. Standard. 28th of January wins at 1-80 against one runner. It then runs in a 4-runner race, gets beat or 1-7. It then runs in a 2-runner race, 4 non-runners, wins at 1-7, and then was pulled out on the 18th of March, and Mr. Burbage wins at 1-10. Now, tell me, BHF said they're looking for a pattern.
Okay.
There's 4 there.
I'll tell you this. Well, I suggested this a long time ago, and I maintain it. No race should be run with less than 6 runners. Right, if you have a horse withdrawn late or something, you can. But you've got to have 6 runners. If the Derby can't get 6 runners in, you don't run the Derby. If 6 runners aren't declared for the Grand National, don't run.
And what's the logic behind that?
The logic behind that is where these plots and these coups and this crooked racing allegations come, and nearly always in small fields. And this because small fields, bad horses.
So you're saying there has to be a sufficient number of competitors that wouldn't allow a successful coup?
Well, there'll be less chance of people getting together and fixing. Fix is a terrible word.
Yeah.
So if you're going to fix a race, the smaller the field, the better.
Okay, well, in terms of all-weather racing,
Tom, can I just make a point? Tom, can I make
a
point? The big point here, and Billy knows more about the Rule 4 than I do, is that we've obviously said things against the bookies tonight, but in this instance, they're right. Because a horse running at 1-80, they're paying out almost 1-2.
Yeah, well, Standard's obviously a horse that's been well involved in invoking this Rule 4.
4 times.
So, Billy, the Rule 4, Billy?
It's very, very simple, Tom. If the Rule 4 is open to this abuse, I'm not saying this is abuse, but if this is what's happening, has been abused, then it needs to change. Yeah, Betfair have managed to do a Rule 4 that doesn't have this flaw.
I know, but don't you realise where we're going here? That if we go on complaining about this and saying the bookmakers are being turned over as they are, they want to get, say, 33-1 horse withdrawn, take out 3%. So they don't think Rule 4, as it is, apart from the Standard kind of cases, is not fair for them. They say, bookmakers, they want all the prices taken into consideration.
Yeah, but Corals on Tuesday actually prevented people from betting on that race because they felt that there would be a withdrawal, and they were totally spot on.
And more appropriately, to discuss with all-weather racing, are these kind of withdrawals of horses, Rule 4, small fields, is this just solely happening on the all-weather? Like, why is it that it comes around to winter and you get all this dodgy kind of betting and withdrawals that come around? It's making a bad name for all-weather racing, but it's not just solely happening during the winter on all-weather tracks, is it?
There aren't too many 1-80 chances running over the jumps. Yeah, so you can say that. But there's no doubt it gives... I'm asked the question, how long can racing go on taking all this? That all the accusations of fixed races, the doping, the Al Zaruni, Gerald Butler, Eddie Ahern, all this these coups coming up, the punters are being turned over all the time as they see it. And racing is in a competitive world to get the betting money. And I'll use the example today. We had this first race at Chepstow. Now, it was an absolute disgrace. We had this Churchtown Love, 5-4 on Churchtown Love was, charged the tapes, unseated its jockey, and went for about a furlong. And actually, trainer Jeremy Scott, amazingly how he caught it, but nevertheless, they got it back. It was still unsettled. Its tail was going round. Clearly, it was unsettled, but they allowed it to run.
And this is in the heart of the National Hunt fixtures. It's not at the tail end or even in the non-season of a Southall's Class 6.
It doesn't matter where it is. Should that horse have been allowed to run? Now, the question I will put to the BHA or to anybody who says yes, they should, and some win. We've had horses that go to a whole circuit in the past and have gone on and won. I'm saying, would any punter like to have withdrawn their money after they've seen the end it sort of got up to? And most punters would. So it cannot be right that things that had happened before the race are disregarded.
And the point there, John, is unless you've got ATR or RUK, you may not have seen the incident because if you're in a shop or you're betting online, it will go dead on the race.
So you bet early, absolutely, and the people are better,
and you wouldn't have seen it.
Well, not only that, you look back through the form in the Racing Post and you don't see a video either, do you? So that's all it's going to say on there.
But this horse, I was saying at the time, it finished 7th. Now you can argue it never been on fast ground. It was fast ground at Chepstow today, so that could be a reason for its failure. But
that's a bigger surprise, fast ground at Chepstow.
That is amazing, yeah. But to finish 7th, it's 5-4 on. Can anyone who backed that horse feel they had a fair run for the money? What was the vet doing? What were the stewards doing? Well, it's not good the trainer and the owner say, oh, I want to run. I bought it a few hundred miles, brought it here, I want to run. Don't listen to them. The stewards are there to protect the interests of the game. The vet's there to protect the interests of the horse. How can he or she, the vet, know the horse is perfectly all right after doing it?
They have changed the rules, though, on the flat, haven't they, with the stalls? If the horse goes underneath the stalls, they used to be able to put them back in, but they can't do that.
You remember Kay Gurley at Goodwood and old Merlis's thing about the 1962?
Well, I was before I was born, John.
Do I remember that? Hold on, John.
No, Kay Gurley is a great case, scrambled under the stalls. But you have to think, are the public being looked after here? Is it right that these horses do this and then allowed to run? But on the other hand, be fair, where are you going to bring in the rule? Do you say if it unsips its jockey, it stands still, or it goes 10 yards?
That's a point, John. I don't disagree with John, but you've got a horse that's sweating badly in the paddock. You've got a horse that doesn't want to go in the stalls, and you've got to draw that line and say, at what point do you say that should be a definite withdrawal? And it's a bit of a grey area to...
Well, in this case, it was certainly almost overstepped the
line. To be fair, some bookmakers, very quickly, they do give you... They surprisingly give you money back in certain instances. Not today, but they have. If a horse falls one from home,
the bookmakers couldn't give it money back today. The thing ran.
No, that's right.
And it was and only finished 7th.
Yeah, well, we like to treat the public well on this show as well. So let's try and get some of your opinions in now. Whether you were on that 5-4 shot at Chepstow today, 5-4 on. Whether you were on that at Chepstow today, or whether you've got some opinions to be had about the all-weather card that runs over the winter. The man that takes those tweets for you is Sam Boswell in Twitter Corner. What have the public got to say about it, Sam?
I'm pleased to say I found the other madman that was backing that horse at the price, as well as John. Anthony Amato's tweeted he completely agrees with John. He thinks it was madness. He was very disappointed to see the horse run and basically saw his money disappear in smoke in his ideas and what he thought about that sort of race.
And I'm sure he would have withdrawn his bet if he could have done.
I'm sure, but he didn't necessarily drive all the way there to see his horse run, Mac. You never know. If the horse had won, we wouldn't be talking about it this evening. So it is different people's views and different people's opinions. On the all-weather, you've been tweeting us in. I've got the all-weather fans of all the different tracks tweeting me in. Polly Rogers is saying she loves the all-weather. It's a great bit of fun, but she doesn't like seeing two-runner events on it and thinks that Mac's idea of having a minimum runner probably isn't the worst idea in the world, surprisingly enough.
Good for you, girl.
Also, we've had other tweets in suggesting Southall is an absolute goldmine and that we should all be looking to punt there anyway. I've had JVR tweet me to say that he loves Southall, the course form's consistent, and he says people like Billy probably can make a living through that. I'll pass back over to Tom. Keep those views coming in.
Wow. If Southall's
the thing with Southall is that it's a fairer track. You get a run. You get a run down the straight. You don't get quite the same trouble you got on the poly track. So it's a nice fair track. You can make money at Southall.
And look at the size there as well. They do match up quite well at Southall.
And so what about when they got 4 runners going around and they've got links to this connection and that connection? Then there's a dark cloud over it again, is there not?
No, it's not a dark cloud. No, we didn't think. But going back to John's point on these non-starters, I mean, I don't disagree. But there are people who back. Let's mention Mad Moose. People who back Mad Moose and then say I want my money back.
There are a few like that. A lot of them, they've never done anything like that before. If a horse doesn't start, it's called horse racing. Remember what it's called? Horse racing. So if the horse doesn't race, Why should punters lose their money?
Yeah.
So they should be. I know the trouble is the winners, of course, they were furious. It wasn't my fault the thing didn't run. They've taken away 10% or 20%
Yeah,
of my
John
winnings.
rightly points
So
out
get
this
over
is
it.
horse racing.